do some sort of labs, or like you lab every day, hashtag lab every
day. Man, facts. So with me learning firewalls and meeting you at the same time, it's kind of crazy. Like, I started lab every day because like I'm a system admin, so a lot of my networking stuff I don't do. And so it's like, dang, like I'm reading these books, I'm watching these videos. You can do that all day, but if you're not physically putting these labs together and you're not doing that, because there's levels to building a network, securing a network, and you could miss something and it totally over your head. You think you got it and understood, and then you actually lab it up, then it's like, oh man, how do I do this? And you forget. Like, with my firewall labs, I did this lab, and so like I do Windows all day. Like I know Windows Server, but I'm sitting there doing DNS, and I'm like, yo, why am I not able to get to this website address? I put the IP address in there, but when I try and do the name, it's not resolving. And so I'm testing the firewall, so I go on the other side, on the outside, and try it, and it's still not working. So I got to troubleshoot all this DNS stuff, but since I don't do DNS like that, I forgot. Yeah, so exactly. I had to pull out my material, but when you start labbing, doing those complex labs, you have to pull out areas that you don't realize that you don't know, because what you don't know is sometimes the things that hurt you the most in your career.
Exactly. I mean, even now when I'm working remotely, so from home, I've got my computers behind me and stuff, and there might be times where I'm remoting into customers' networks, and I'm like, okay, I maybe need to test this, or I maybe need to implement this, but because it's on a production environment, and it don't mean that I'm not confident or don't know what I'm doing, but sometimes there's just little things that can cause different things to happen, whether that be on the same device you're configuring or another device. So sometimes what I can do, if I've got access to my own environment, my own test environment, or an environment within Cisco, is I'll lab it, I'll lab it up and see how it works, and see if there's any, disadvantages to the advantages, and, see what it's like before I actually implement it. And, there's nothing wrong with doing that, because sometimes you learn, or sometimes you pick up things that you didn't really think of before you actually did it, right. And, to me, this is part of the continuous learning journey, because you can get so carried away of, you've got a set of requirements, you need to implement these requirements, you know how to implement the requirements, so you just go and you put in a command, and you finish. You don't really think about what you're doing.
Right.
And you start losing the knowledge because you're not thinking, because you know how to do it, you're not thinking about the consequences, or okay, what happens if I configure, let's say for instance, what happens if I configure a trunk on this interface? What consequences will it have on the other side? Is the other side set to trunk? What's going on the other side? Right. What happens if, let's say for instance, you turn failover off on a firewall? What's going to happen to the other firewall? What's going to happen with the synchronization of the command? Stuff like that. You just configure and you forget.
Right.
Whereas if you're continuously labbing and trying different things, you're always learning. You're always running, maybe running into issues. And I find sometimes when I troubleshoot, I spend probably 80% of the time troubleshooting issues that are not even part of what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right.
That's what I'm supposed to be doing. So again, that's another learning journey for me, because I end up finding things out that I wouldn't have probably found out if I'd just gone on the device and put the commands in, and that's it. So yeah, definitely lab every day, hashtag that.
Hey, that's a great point. So when you're troubleshooting, I know when I was a network engineer, man, I got so many stories, but from when you're troubleshooting, like for example, let's say a trunk or a VSS or something, along those lines, you run into problems that you may never see again, or you may not see for another 3 months. For me, I learned to document in like OneNote. Yes. Whenever those happen, I save it, I title it or whatever, So that way, if it ever happened again, you know, I'll be like, yo, I remember this. Because if you be like, oh, okay, yeah, I can fix this, and you don't document it, you will not remember how you fixed it.
Yes, yes, definitely. That's a really good point, actually, and I'm glad you kind of brought that up because, you know, part of what I do on my blog in terms of, you know, for those that have seen my blog or, you know, maybe wanting to look at my blog, you know, I kind of sometimes document things that I do in labs in terms of, you know, steps to configuring certain things. And, you know, 9 times out of 10, you can find it on Cisco Docs or, you know, on the internet if you do a Google search. But, you know, there's the different, you know, sometimes you've got different methods of configuring things or different ways of doing it. And sometimes you just want that information straight away instead of having to search Cisco Docs or look elsewhere. And, you know, sometimes you might do it slightly different in your own lab. And what I found is when I tend to blog about these sort of things and configurations and troubleshooting is that I remember if I run into an issue again, I remember that, oh, wait a minute, I blogged about this, I've done this, you know? So I just literally go straight onto my blog again. I'm like, that's how I did it. Facts. You know, for instance, I mean, a couple of months ago, we had, for a customer, we were trying to achieve AAA authentication through using the FXOS, which is, you know, Cisco operating system. And this scenario wasn't really documented. In fact, we couldn't really find it on the external, so on Google or Cisco Docs. You know, there are a few things on internal, but, you know, there weren't really anything that give you the steps on how to do it. So I decided that I was going to configure this, you know, make this work. And as I was doing it, I was going to actually document this for, you know, for Cisco, for internal, and also, you know, for my blog. And, you know, these are the sort of things that, you know, you don't do every day. But when you come back to it, say a couple of months down the line, you're like, boy, I did this 6 months ago, but I can't remember how to do that now. And so you're going to spend, you know, another good 2-3 hours trying to remember how you did it, when really, if you documented it in the first place, you could have a quick look and say, yes, that's what I did. I know what that was. And yeah, you're saving yourself time. And plus, you know, it's learning, you know, document what you do. It's like a little IT journal. Why not? You know, so I use my blog and I also use OneNote as well, because OneNote you can kind of export and sync between PCs and stuff. And so I use OneNote for a lot of things. I even use it for, you know, studying and typing notes out and stuff. So yeah, definitely doc steps.
Yeah, OneNote is so dope because even if you're like if I'm watching something or I'm looking at something on a website, I can just hit the Windows button and the S for the snippet, and then when you snip it, it'll also put the link to whatever you snipped. So OneNote has so many tools. Like, man, it's OneNote is so dope, man.
You can highlight things. I mean, the whole concept. I mean, before I actually started using OneNote, I was like, you know, what is the point of this? I've got Microsoft Word, you know, I've got all these tools to use. But then when I actually got into using OneNote, I was like, wow, this is actually a really good tool. You know, you can add pictures, drag and drop, do this, add multiple tabs within tabs, and you know, there's so much you can do. And you know, even, you know, sometimes what I used to do at the start was sometimes I'd find information that were relevant to what I was learning, and I'd just screenshot it and put it in, and you know, it gives you the link, like you say, etc. Then I thought, okay, for studying purposes, I actually want to, instead of just reading it and taking a snippet and copying it in, I actually want to learn and understand this. So for me, sometimes when I read it and then write it in my own words, I understand it more. It makes me think more, because when you're writing it, you think more about what you're writing. So for me, it's like, okay, I've read that now. Now I'm going to interpret this into my own words and write it down. And as I'm writing it, I'm like, okay, this raises another question that I've got. What happens? Okay, so you configure this. What about this? And, you know, then you kind of go off and you kind of start mind mapping stuff. And, you know, again, that's part of the learning journey.
KRS-One said that, you know, writing things down is the language of the gods. And he kind of referenced like the Bible. And when the Bible says in the beginning there was the word, you know what I mean? So it's like it was written first before it happens. And so whenever you got goals, if you don't, this is how I feel. If you don't write them down on paper, they're just thoughts.
Man, I'm gonna let you into a little secret now. You know, I've got my Christmas jumper on, feeling all festive. But you know, every year since I started university, I really, you know, focused my mind and focused my attention on where I wanted to be and what I wanted to do, and you know, even the person I wanted to be, you know, and you know, you can always better yourself technically, but also, you know, you need to concentrate on bettering yourself as, you know, as a person, and, you know, the consulting side of things, you know, just general. And so every time, you know, ever since I started university, I actually started writing my goals down,
Right.
because it it was like, you know, I spent all these years thinking, well, I could do this, but you know, sometimes never actually done anything about it. So yeah, I actually started writing these goals. I think I did 6 months, 1 years, and 5 year goals.
Right.
And I actually started writing these out and printing them out. And I do this every time just before the new year. So just before Christmas, before New Year. And I write down what I want to achieve in 6 months, what I want to achieve in 1 year, and what I want to achieve in 5 years. And you need to lose that kind of mentality of, well, I don't know, I'm going to achieve this, you know, just write it down. If you want to achieve this and you think, right, okay, I think I can do this in 1 year, or want to do this in 1 year, write it down, put it under the 1 year. If you want to do this in 6 months, put it in the 6 months. If you want to do it in 5 years, it's going to take a little bit more time, put it in the 5 year. And it don't matter about how, don't worry about how. I mean, I read a lot about the law of attraction, how you can visualize and, you know, manifest the things that, you know, you want.
Right.
And one thing that they tell you is, don't worry about the how. Don't worry about how you're going to get there. Just put down the things that you want and trust that it's going to come to you. So this is what I do, and you know, it works for me. You know, if I look back at, so every year I kind of archive my goals as I move on. I'm like, okay, what did I achieve? What didn't I achieve from my list? And you know, without fail, every single year. And even now, when I look back at probably, you know, the ones that I did at the end of last year, because I'm due to update it, you know, I'm going to be ticking loads of things off because I know that I've achieved them. You know, I've achieved more than what I actually thought I was going to achieve this year. So, you know, I've wrote these things down and then I cross them off, then I add more, then keep going. And, you know, without a clear definition of what you want, you're going to struggle to achieve because other things are going to pop up in life and you're going to get sidetracked. But if you've got these goals and you're looking at these goals every day and you're thinking, why, what can I do today to achieve this goal? What can I do? You know, I said I'd do this in 6 months. What can I do to do, you know, do this? You're going to work, you know, you're more likely to work at achieving these goals than you are to think, well, you know, I said, you know, this year I wanted to achieve, you know, a new certification. I didn't put a timestamp on it. So yeah, whenever, you know, you're not going to really work towards doing that. So yeah, I mean, goals is, you know, you need goals. Without goals, you're not going nowhere. You know, it's like you haven't got a destination, you know, so you need goals. And I did little thing, and I've even got my own little dream board there, you know. So
Yeah.
you know, if that's what you like, I mean, I've got my dream board as well. You know, I've got things that, you know, I want to visualize and things that I see me, you know, succeeding in and achieving. And you know, this helps me. So whatever helps you, but yeah, goals. You need goals.
You need goals.
You need them.
Hey, I'm gonna say something real quick. I when it comes to my goals, I stopped putting timestamps on my goals, and I'm gonna tell you why. One reason is that, like, I'm a spiritual person, and I realize that when it comes to time, God operates outside of that. Like time was set here for us to know that we only got a certain amount of time to live, so we need to value the amount of time, the allotted time that we have, because we don't know how much we have. So I stopped putting a timestamp on my goals, and the reason why is that, let's say I want to go to the NBA. If I go to the NBA at 18 or 50, regardless, if I make it there, it's going to be just as fulfilling. And the longer that it takes, it's going to be even more fulfilling because of how hard I work to get there. And so it's like, when I put them time stamps on there, and if I don't accomplish it in that amount of time, then it's like, man, you know what? I failed. But no, it just wasn't meant for me to get it now. Let me keep working, and I'm going to get it.
Exactly. I mean, look at my journey, for instance. You know, back in the day, I had no timestamps on, you know, what I wanted to achieve. You know, I'm not saying that, you know, with the goal setting, you know, if you want to put timestamps on them, then, you know, think of them as kind of like a soft guideline, not something that, you know, I have to achieve in this. Just
Right.
think about, you know, something to work to. And if you don't achieve it, like you say, it's just not your time yet. You know, put it on your new goals list and then try achieve it next time. You know, it's fine. It might come, it might not. Just keep going. That's what you want to achieve. Go for it. But you know, looking back at my journey, I had no timestamps on what I wanted to achieve. You know,
Right.
I left school with no clear indication of what I wanted to do. You know, I didn't think right now I'm going to be, you know, 28 years old. I'm going to be working for, you know, Cisco at 28 years old. I didn't think that. You know, I had no, you know, I didn't think, okay, my goal by being 28 is to work for Cisco. You know, I had no, you know, it was just, you know, things come, things go, and you know, I've worked to get where I am today. And I think for me now to be setting these goals since I started university has really helped me kind of, you know, not every single year, like I said, I don't, you know, with the 6 months or the year, I don't think, oh, you know, I've missed one off there, you know, that's not good enough. You know, if I missed it, fair dues, I might modify it a little bit or, you know, put it on to next year and, you know, try again. But, you know, for me, the goals really help kind of work towards what I'm trying to achieve, and it gives me something to work towards. So I think you're right with the time. Yeah, just don't think of the time as being, you know, set in stone. I need to achieve this by then, or I'm a failure. Because nah, that's not how it is. You know, things just aren't meant to be if it don't happen.
Right. Right. I agree.
Mm.
Now, you mentioned when you lab, you talked about you lab on your computer. Now, do you recommend someone have hardware, GNS3, viral, packet tracer? Which one do you recommend, and what do you prefer?
Oh man, there's so there's so many tools out there today. You know, it's hard to kind of, you know, choose that one tool that's going to work for you. You know, that one tool don't just fit all. I think for me, ever since university, I've been using GNS3,
Okay.
Which has really worked for me. The only problem with using GNS3 is that you need to have the images available. And you know, I mean, you can find them online, but you know, you're not going to find them on, you know, Cisco. So yeah, you need to be able to get those images yourself.
Right.
But yeah, for me, I've been using GNS3 for quite a few years now, and I'm, you know, really used to that, and it works for me because I can kind of import my virtual machines, so like my Windows 7 host, and you know, I can also use things like my virtual ASA, etc. So you know, it works. Packet Tracer is good. I used Packet Tracer within the first year of university, Cisco Packet Tracer, and this is good for learning the concepts of networking and putting things together like a little puzzle.
Right.
And it's good to kind of get your head around the configurations of routers and switches, the general concept. And it's good for when you're starting out, is what I'd say.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think if somebody's listening to this or watching this and starting out, definitely, you know, download Packet Tracer and start using Packet Tracer alongside your studies. When you get a little bit more advanced, you know, you can move on to using things like GNS3 and integrating different virtual machines with that. And there's also one called what's it called?
Is it viral?
I mean, yeah, you've got Cisco Viral, which is obviously from Cisco,
Right.
and it's the only thing with Cisco Viral is that it's very intensive on your hardware, so you need to be able to have resources that support this hardware. So whether you use it in the cloud or you've got, you know, your physical desktop machine sat there and using it, you need to be able to support the resources that Viral is actually going to use.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, if you're thinking of using Viral and you're at university or college or, you know, or whatever, and you know, and you've got hardware or somebody's got hardware that can support it, definitely, you know, definitely get Viral and start using that, because you know, there's a lot of, you know, all the licenses are there for the images. You can use it straight out the box. You don't have to worry about that. And if you're at university or college, I think as far as I can remember, you can still get like a student license. So, you know, your institute can actually buy this license for you guys. I mean, for us, when I were at university, we had something called a networking society.
Okay.
We had like our own room where we had our equipment, and we got funding to be able to buy things like licenses for viral and servers, etc. So this worked for us. So if you're in a similar situation, you can do the same. There's one called Eve NG, which is, I can't remember what E stands for. I think I've wrote about it on my blog anyway, so you see it on my blog.
Yeah, I'm gonna put a link to your blog in the description
too. So yeah, Eve NG is also good, and again, you need to be able to have the resources for that. I don't think it's as intensive as viral, but yeah, you do need the resources. So yeah, that's good. And if we're talking about physical hardware, I mean, let's talk about physical hardware, because, you know, people, I mean, I know when I was starting out, I was like, okay, you know, just where do I buy the kit from? You know, let me buy the switch, let me buy the router, let me buy, you know, the file. I just want to buy it, let me do it, and I've got it. And when I started looking at the price of things, I was like, whoa, you know, these. I mean, when you're talking Cisco equipment, anyway, you know, these things are cheap. You know, even, you know, you're talking about like end of day, end of support switches that, you know, they're still very expensive, you know, depending on what licenses you get and what router or switch or whatever device you get, you know, they're still quite expensive. So, you know, your hopes start to disappear. You know, you're thinking, you know, you got all this vision of getting this big, nice labs at home, and when you start looking at prices, you're like, I don't know if I can afford this. And even if you can, and then you've got to consider the electricity. You know, when you start powering on all these machines, boy, you better be prepared for noise. you better be prepared for a high electric bill. You know, because you know, depending on what you get, these things can run some fuel, boy.
Right.
So
and your lights might go out.
Yeah, into one plug socket, you're in trouble. You need to watch out. But yeah, honestly, don't get too hung up on trying to get equipment straight away. You know, there's you know, if you're at university or college, you know, no doubt they're gonna have some labs and equipment that you can use. And then when you're at home, use the virtual stuff, so like GX3 Packet Tracer. And you know, if you really do want to get some equipment, maybe start off small. So depending on what you're trying to achieve, so let's say for instance CCNA routing and switching, you might need 3 switches, you know, or let's say 2 or 3 switches, 2 routers, and you know, you're good. You can even mix and match. So you could even get two switches, 2 routers, then link it up to your network so that you can access it via GNS3. You can do that as well. So I did that with, at the time when I did that, I think I had an ASA 5505, and I linked the physical device up with my virtual environment within GNS3. So what you could do is you can actually build a physical network and then build, say, site number 2 as the virtual network. You know, so you can play around with both. So not only are you getting experience with the physical kit, you're also getting to learn the software that you're using and also the commands on the virtual side of it. So yeah, definitely don't get too hung up on the physical stuff. That stuff comes in time. You know, you might get it given by your employee or by a friend that you know, or you might just work for a great company like Cisco where you can actually get some of this stuff and you know, practice like I do.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. I was definitely gonna bring that up. Yeah. So this man works for Cisco. Those of you that do not know, Cisco has a lot of perks when you work for them.
A lot.
One of those perks is they pay for certifications. Like you just take the test. I'm gonna let you tell it, because you sitting there holding. When it comes to software, you don't have a problem getting it for Cisco.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, it's working for Cisco. I mean, as you can probably imagine, for those that know about Cisco, you know, there is a lot that comes with working for Cisco. You know, you're required to, you know, give your all, your hard work, and you know, which isn't a problem when you love what you do. And you know, in return, Cisco give you a lot of benefits, you know, and some of those, I mean, I won't touch on all the benefits, but some of the benefits that have helped me out so far is, you know, the ability to be able to, you know, work on physical equipment, or even, you know, get physical equipment to work on and, you know, lab with, etc., which is, you know, really helped me. The ability to access, you know, obviously Cisco's resources, you know, working direct for Cisco is just invaluable, you know. So when it comes to learning, you know, with Cisco, you definitely need to look at the avenue in which you want to take, because there's that many resources out there. I mean, just think of it as a library with unlimited resources for technical knowledge. You know, you got some of the greatest people in the world working for Cisco, you know, some of the greatest technical authors. You know, I've got a guy who's in my team actually, who interviewed me as well. You know, he's wrote books on VPNs and stuff. He's considered to be one of the best people in the world for, you know, VPN technologies, and he's working in my team. You know, so I can literally just get on my instant messenger and send him a message if I've got a question, and you know, hopefully he don't mind, you know, sending me the answers. And you know, it's literally just the wealth of knowledge within Cisco is just invaluable. So it helps with certifications. Yes, you get your, you know, certifications paid for, which is, you know, expected, I would have thought. And you know, in the end, it benefits Cisco as well, because you know, you got to think about it. If they're giving you all these resources and pushing you to learn more, it's going to make you a better engineer, and it's going to make Cisco hopefully a lot more money, because you're able to go out there and deploy these complex technologies, deploy complex networks and, you know, designs. And you know, in the end, for me at least as well, is, you know, be a consultant and help these companies evaluate the position and where they want to be in, you know, 3 years time, 5 years time, and you know, to stay at the edge of, you know, the cutting edge of, you know, networking and the way that technology is moving. So you're in essence that trusted advisor to these customers. You know, people are coming to you and asking you about, you know, what do you think about this, how should I do this? And you know, people, you know, you've got a lot of people looking up to you. So the more information and the more knowledge and the more learning that you do, you know, it really helps.
Yeah, man. There's like 3 points you made right here. One of them is when you ask the person on your team for, let's say you got a question about an issue that you're facing. I know for me, what I learned early in my career is that when you reach out to someone and ask a question, you never ask that same question twice. You know what I mean? Because it's like their time and everything for them to reach out and help you is important. You know? And so for the fact that they helped you is like, man, so you just not going to accept the information that I already gave you. So that's what OneNote and documenting early in my career. This was before OneNote, so I was using Notepad at that time, you know.
Yeah, man, this is really important, because you know, everybody's busy, you know, and people don't mind helping, but if you keep coming to them for the same question, and you know that they've already provided you the answer, and you know, this becomes a problem, because people just that people don't mind going out of the way trying to help you, especially in Cisco. But
Right.
you know, take note of what they're, you know, telling you, and then, you know, maybe before you ask the question, go away and search for that information yourself.
Google.
See if you can find it out yourself, and you know, maybe you find some information, maybe you find something that explains it, but not as well. So say, for instance, I'm going back to this VPN expert now. So I find something out about VPNs, and you know, I understand it, but I don't understand it fully, or there's something that I'm just not getting. You know, then I'll reach out to, you know, my colleague and say, okay, so I've got a question. You know, I understand this about this technology, but there's just this little bit that I don't understand. So, you know, one, you're saving time, and two, you're showing that you've actually gone out there and searched for the information before you've actually come to people and asked them for the information. Because, you know, you can't just keep going to everybody and saying, how do you do this? What's this? What does this mean? These guys are busy too, you know. You're that network engineer as well. Go away and look for this information, and then, you know, seek for advice of your peers if you're still not sure, you know. But sure that you've actually been out there, you've done what you can to try find the information, you know, before you actually do that. Then, like you say, write it down, make notes. You know, part of what we do is all about taking notes and coming back to it, because, you know, 9 times out of 10, we're going to be doing it on another customer's network, or, you know, we're going to be doing some sort of similar configuration or deployment on a customer network. And, you know, you might just take a snippet of what you've learned in that previous project and bring it back to, you know, this project. So the last thing you want to be doing is going back to your colleague and saying, yeah, do you remember 2 months ago when I asked you that question? Yeah, well, I can't remember. Can you tell me again? You know, because that's going to start annoying people, you know? Yeah, so I mean, I know it's going to annoy me, but if you're sure that you've been out there and you've done what you can and you've searched what you could, and, you know, even not so much as reference where you've, you know, found some sort of information, but say, you know, look, I've looked on here. You know, maybe you've got internal resources at work. You know, you say, you know, I've looked on here. I can't find it on here. I've looked on here. I've only found this bit of information. Could you tell me, or could you explain it further for me? You know, I'm sure they're not going to have a problem with it.
Right. Yeah, that's a jewel for those of you that are listening. That is definitely a jewel that you can that'll help you build some great relationships in your career. To know that when you are given some information, you value it, you document it, and then you also know how to research for yourself. So,
yeah, and man, show appreciation as well. You know,
yeah, definitely.
I mean, sometimes, you know, you might be seeking information that helps you meet a project deadline. You know, so it might not be as big to the person giving you that information, but, you know, just show appreciation that, you know, you really value what, you know, you've been told. And, you know, maybe if the information did help you understand or deploy something, that, you know, it's known that, you know, this person providing you that information, you know, has been well received, you know. And, you know, in Cisco, we have, you know, a lot of incentives where we can kind of show appreciation to our colleagues. So, you know, we do this quite often. You know, if people have took time out for us, or, you know, gone above and beyond for certain things, you know, there's many ways within Cisco where we can show appreciation, and we do that. And I think that's what makes Cisco such a great place to work, because, you know, we have incentives like this which encourage people to, you know, show this appreciation. And being shown this appreciation, you know, it makes you feel recognized. And, you know, I'd even go as far to say it makes you a better worker, because, you know, when you start feeling recognized, you want to do more, you want to give more, you know, and the more you give, you know, the more you get back in my eyes. And, you know, if you've got a whole company of givers, you know, and you can't go wrong.
Man, that's for me, that's laws of the universe. We're what is it? Tillers of the earth. You know what I mean? You put something in, you plant that seed, whether it's being kind to someone, you get back a harvest regardless. You can do a little and get back a lot. So the more you do, the more you get. And it's not one of those things to where you just do stuff to get stuff back. You just be a good person, you know?
Exactly. And so, yeah, it goes far beyond just the technical knowledge and everything else. You know, like I was saying earlier, you know, it goes back to just being that good person.
Yeah.
You know, just give and get back, you know?
Yeah. So I got two questions, and then we're going to wrap it up, man. This is good info. It's been a great conversation, and I thank you for taking time to do this, man.
That's cool.
So the next question I wanna ask you is, how do you overcome procrastination?
Man, that's a good question. I must say I've been procrastinating quite a lot recently during the run up to Christmas, you know. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I think going back to the goals, I think having some sort of goals to work to helps. You know that you need to achieve something, and you know, like we said about the deadlines, not so much as setting the deadlines, but actually working towards these goals. You know, it helps. But regardless of who you are, what position you're in, there's always going to be times where, you know, you procrastinate. And, you know, I've faced times when I was studying my CCNP routing and switching, and, you know, this is when I got to, let's say, for instance, when I got to my T-shoot exam, you know, this is 4 exams in. So I did my CCNA Security, switch, route, then troubleshoot. And, you know, by this time I was quite tired. I was tired of, I felt like I needed a brain break. I needed just to relax. And I was reading material and looking at material or troubleshooting on labs. And, I found myself just switching tabs on Google Chrome and starting to, browse things or talk to somebody on Facebook or Instagram. And, it happens. And I think what you need to do is you need to have the right environment to work, and maybe even I got so much to say is maybe even the right people around you. So, and the reason I say that is because one, when you've got the right environment to work in, you can, you've got, so for instance, me, I've got the office feel in my home. So I know that when I come into my room, I know that this is normally where I'm going to do the work. So I can sit down and I can do the work. I'd say close your tabs, have the tabs open that you need to. Switch off all social media. So let's say, for instance, you dedicate 2 hours a day for studying.
Right.
During the time, switch off social media. If you're that bad, switch off your phone, or, just don't go on it. Because these are the sort of things when you start getting notifications on your phone and you're taking 5 minutes here to respond or to look at something, 10 minutes here and there, this time's eating into your studying time. So the less distraction you have, the less you can procrastinate.
Right. Agreed.
So much to say is with, having the right people around. When I used to do some studying after work in Poland, in Krakow, and I used to stay in the office. Well, I've even slept in the office, but I used to stay in the office, and because I had another colleague that was also studying towards the same goals as me, so CCNA Security, and what we used to do is we used to wait until everybody had gone, and then we had the room to ourselves, and then we put the video up or the content up, and we'd have the whiteboard, we'd have everything we needed there, and having that person around that's trying to achieve the same goals as you, keeps you on track. Because sometimes, you might have a day where I'm tired, I can't be bothered, but then this guy's got a day where, he's feeling great, motivated, he wants to get this CCIE, and, this helps you because when you're sat there looking at the clouds, this guy's, saying to you, come on, man, what's this technology, or, let's do a whiteboard session, and then this stops you. It gets you out of this procrastinating and looking at the clouds. You actually stay engaged and focused. And likewise, he might have that day where you feel great, and then you're helping push him along. So at the end of the day, you've got to you've got to have the right mentality. You've got to have the right people around, and you've got to be in the right space. And like I say, for me, I don't know about everybody else, but for me, I've found that one of the big distractions is having social media or your phone active when you're trying to study. Because if you're not really in the mood to study, you're going to keep picking up your phone, you're going to keep flicking between tabs on Google and YouTube and stuff, and 2 hours that you say you're going to study, you're probably going to study half that. So turn it off, just turn it off, and you'll be surprised how much you actually do your studying rather than everything else. So yeah, that's what I'd say.
Yeah, I'd turn off my internet on my laptop or my desktop, whatever I'm using, and I put my phone in another room, and I just go to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I zone out. So
exactly. I mean, for those I've got kids, you've got kids, so you've probably been in the same situation. Having your family around is sometimes difficult because you've got your kids running in and out, or messing about or saying daddy, and when you're trying to study, it can be hard. So again, it goes back to needing that support from your other half. You need to kind of, if you're that serious about studying and trying to achieve those goals, let's say is a certification, you need to, maybe get some agreement in place where you say, okay, look, babe, I need 2 hours, Monday to Wednesday to study for this. All I ask is that, you leave me in my space and let me study. And then, the rest of it is our time. And, once you've got that in place, then hopefully you're not going to be getting distracted by, family as well. You can, dedicate this time solely just for study.
Right. True.
Yeah.
True. Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Good.
Last question to wrap this up from a Cisco security solutions engineer, straight from his mouth and his opinion.
Mm,
Software defined networking,
mm, mm.
network programmability,
Yeah.
automation. Yo, how soon before we're all programmers, bro?
Man, these are big words I've been hearing over the last 6 months, and even for me, I've been like, boy, does this mean I need to learn programming now? I'm only just getting into the career space of my security, and I'm gonna have to move again. Yeah. So I mean, it's I don't think hey.
What's up?
I don't think we're all going to be programmers, like solely programmers only, because I think at the end of the day, engineers are always going to be needed, for some sort of, for what we do. It's what we do, and we're always going to be needed. And I've been on projects recently where, we've got the automation team, and then you've got obviously security engineers and network engineers, and they're doing the automation bit, but there's still, for some things that can only be deployed manually, they need guys like us. These guys just do automation. They run what we give them.
Right.
They don't necessarily know what commands or configurations, or what an effect one command will have on another, or what command you need to get to another command. So we're always going to, in my eyes at the minute, we're always going to be needed. I don't think we're ever going to become just programmers. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think definitely we need to have the skills. We need to have some skills. So recently, again, on my blog, I did a post about automation using Ansible. So we found on a project that we're on recently that Ansible helped us with configuration commands for deploying to multiple devices a lot quicker than it would do manually.
Okay.
So definitely automation is something that engineers should be learning now. I'd say coding and programming, all that sort of stuff, is also something that we should be learning as well. So Python is used in a lot of technologies these days. So maybe get your hands on some Python stuff. And yeah, I'd just say start looking. Cisco, in fact, have a website called I think it's Cisco DevNet or DevNet.
DevNet. I think I got them on Twitter. Yeah, they got a
Yeah,
Twitter too.
Stands for Development Network, I believe. And basically, we offer free training in these areas. We offer on the website. There's actually free labs that you can actually use to configure and test your skills out on stuff. So we've got like sandbox environments that you can use for free. It's all free.
Okay.
The training's free, everything's free. So we had training given to us for Python and stuff by Python engineers, etc. in Cisco. But I even turned to this website because it's got all this wealth of knowledge, this free training that you can go through. And get the skills that you need, and just, I wouldn't even say skills that you need. I'd say an understanding of the concepts. I think right now it's good to have an understanding. As engineers, we need to have an understanding of the concepts and how it works, and how things fit together.
Right.
And moving forward, if you then start to work more of a DevOps engineer, then yes, you're going to need some automation skills and programming skills, etc. And yeah, I'd also use Safari Books. Safari Books is, just a...
Oh my goodness. So, I've always been a fan of Safari Books. For books, that I don't want to buy, or just if I'm thinking about buying, I always go to Safari Books first. But I found another jewel on there. Videos.
All right.
I don't know, Omar Santos. I believe he works for Cisco too. He's security engineer. He's like one of the best in security. But he has some videos on there, man, and I'm just like, now I'm a fan of like Jeremy Trower when it comes to teaching. Keith Barker.
Keith Barker, EBT Nuggets.
Yeah, those guys are really good at explaining information and make it simple.
Yeah.
Omar Santos, he gives it to you like he lives it, like he was born to do this. Like
everyone in Cisco lives it.
like,
yeah.
Listening to him explain these topics, like he did some type of live thing for engineers in Cisco, and I watched the whole thing, and I'm just like, it's just flowing. Like he's done the 10,000 hours to be an expert for sure, probably 100,000. And the way he just explains the information, I was highly impressed, man.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, if you're looking for, I mean, the good thing about Safari books is that you've got the books themselves, the official books. Like you say, if you don't want to buy the books, if you don't want the hard copy, you know, you can just jump on Safari books. And you also have the videos as well, like you say. So I think, you know, Omar Santos has quite a few videos in relation to, you know, more specifically security. And, you know, they're really easy to follow. And the thing is, you can always go back on them if you don't quite understand something, or just open up another book in Safari books and expand on that topic to try and understand it more. But yeah, definitely, you know, Safari books is something that I recommend every aspiring engineer or even engineers already to get and use, because it's not one of those where you can just you look at once and then don't revisit for 6 months.
Right.
This is something that you can be on every day, keep the tab open and just refer to it when you need it. You know, this is something that you can keep going back to. In terms of CBT nuggets, this is something that you can use just purely for trading, and you know, you use this when you're studying. Safari books is different because, you know, this for me is something that you can use as a, you know, quick reference guide. You know, I forgot something. Oh, wait a minute, I know where I read this. You know, right. Boom, Safari books real quick. Open up a book, and you know it's there.
Now you can open up multiple books. So
yeah,
if you get one, somebody doesn't explain it as well, you can find another author, and he explains it a little better. You can kind of piece together the information that you're looking for. So
exactly,
it's a great tool. Now, you man, I know we said we had one more question, but you opened up another topic when you brought out the books and then CBT nuggets for training. For me, when it comes to learning information, like looking at video and somebody explaining it is cool, but I prefer the book all day. For one, finding information in the book is quicker. You know, now reading it, if it's a long subject, it's probably going to be easier to watch a video. But in a book with like the index, the contents, I can go directly, specifically to, let's say, I want to learn VPN tunneling. I can go directly to VPN tunneling in the book, find an example, find the topic, and get it. When you watch a video, a lot of times there's a lot of fluff and all this stuff, and it's like, okay, now where is he gonna get to the point?
I'm glad you actually brought this question up, because this is a question that it got raised quite a few times with my other colleagues when we were doing the training in Poland. People were trying to find out how people best study, you know, whether that be, you know, reading the physical book, reading the electronic book, so the ebook, watching videos, doing labs. You know, the people learn in different ways, which is, you know, that's just how it is, you know. And you know, for me, I'd say reading the book. I think I'm pretty much like you. You know, reading the book helps me understand it more, whether that be physical. I mean, sometimes I prefer to have a physical book in front of me, because I don't like to look. I feel like, I mean, especially doing what we do, I'm always looking at a computer screen. So for me, sometimes it's good just to get away from that and to have the physical book and to write notes by hand. And so sometimes I do that, but for, you know, in different scenarios, you know, I can use the ebook, and by reading the books, I feel like I understand it more because I interpret it in my way. And if I then still don't understand it, then I'll refer to a video which might explain it a little bit deeper or quicker for me to understand. And then if I still don't understand it, or if I still got some questions in my head, then I'll just put on a lab. If I can lab it, then I'll lab it.
Right.
And that's the way I learn, you know. And if sometimes I'll do it back to front. Sometimes I'll read something and I'm like, okay, now I can go ahead and lab that. You know, then I'll put it in the lab. Then I'll not without a full understanding of what's going on. I'll try and lab what I need to do, and by labbing that, sometimes I feel like I learn even more.
Yeah.
Then, if I feel like I've missed something, then I'll put on a video to see who's doing the same thing,
right.
you know, and how they're doing it, because you know they might be doing something different to me, or I might be missing something that they've configured, you know. And obviously, then you've got your job as well, where you can, you know, be always learning things as well. But yeah, definitely, I'd say ebook or book, video, and then labs for me. That's how I learn best.
Me too, man. The lab portion is very, it's like,
yeah.
I believe it once it takes everything that I've learned from reading and maybe watching a video, and it embeds it in my brain once I lab it.
This is it, because you know you can read something or listen to something, and sometimes when you listen to something, it'll go in one ear and go out the other ear.
Right.
You know, where when you read something and you actually really want to understand it, and part of the reason why I do the videos on YouTube is because, you know, it's not only to benefit the people that, you know, watching them and, you know, getting inspired by them and trying to do the same thing, but I'm learning too. So, you know, maybe I've read something, and you know, I feel confident enough that I can now share this with the people that are watching my videos, and at the same time, I'm still learning too.
Right.
You know, so, you know, if I've got enough confidence to do a video about it, then I must know about, or at least know how to deploy and configure what I'm doing. You know, so for me, this even helps me learn more, because in a sense, you're slightly under pressure because you know you're delivering it to
right.
you know, the whole world essentially. So, you know, if you're doing something wrong, then, you know, it's not necessarily a bad thing, because I believe, you know, you learn by, you know, I won't call them failures, but you learn by mistake. You know, the mistakes that you made, if someone's correcting you and saying, oh, you missed this or you've done this wrong, then these are the things that are going to stick with you moving forward. You can say, yeah, I missed this before, I won't do that again. You know, so yeah, these, you know, it's not only you trying to educate other people, but you're learning yourself.
Yeah, man. I made a video about VLANs, and I was talking about 802.1 Q encapsulation. And somebody was like, it doesn't encapsulate the packet. And I'm like, dang, okay, you got a point. But I was talking about VLAN tagging, native VLAN.
Yeah.
The tag and untag.
Yeah,
tag and untag. And so I was explaining that, and I was like, you know what? You can't be so serious when you're making those videos. Like, you have to acknowledge, okay, maybe I didn't understand that as well as I thought, to explain it to someone else.
Yeah, you know, but I bet you went away and you looked at more books and you tried to understand it more.
Exactly, I did.
Yeah, exactly. And this is what I'm saying. So, you know, it's not necessarily that you failed, or you know, maybe they've interpreted you wrong. You know, you knew what you meant,
right.
But you've still and you've double checked this, and you know, maybe you've learned a little bit more on that journey. You know, so this is a forever learning journey. You know, the way that you know, this is a global thing. You know, the way that you interpret something might be different to, you know, the way someone else interprets it. You know, I've been in a situation before, and you know, the way you, or even the terminology that you use sometimes can be, you know, it can get people confused with what you're actually trying to say. So it's not necessarily that you don't know it. It's just that you know, it's one of those things where you know what you're talking about, trying to get them to understand, you know?
Right. But once you really understand it, you can explain it to someone else. So
exactly,
that maybe that's a takeaway that I'll hopefully can give someone that is, whenever you're learning these Cisco CCNA information, CCNP information, or whether it be CompTIA or whatever you're out there studying, if you can't explain it, you probably need to dig a little deeper.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I think, you know, another takeaway is that, you know, just keep going. You know, sometimes things fall in place straight away. You know, I've seen guys that, you know, they get the CCNA or they get the first certification, you know, they expect to get, you know, a network engineering job straight away, or, you know, don't run before you can walk. You know, this is a journey. You know, you need to start off, you know, maybe you know, doing support to get some experience behind your troubleshooting, etc., and then move forward. You know, you can't, if you, I've seen before where people jump straight into roles that they're not ready for, and you know, they end up shooting themselves in the foot. You know, and sometimes then this disheartens them to even carry on their journey. You know, and they might end up even, you know, forgetting what they've learned and doing something else as a career. You know, so just don't run before you can walk. It all takes time and it all falls in place.
Yeah, but if you do get into that experience, that situation, you have to realize that even if you do feel like you failed, you still learn.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I don't really like using the word fail. I mean,
yeah, I agree.
Because for me, I think for some people, you know, it puts people off. You know, I think you learn, like I say, you learn by mistake. You make mistakes, then learn from the mistakes. The problem comes is when you make mistakes and you don't learn from the mistakes. You keep making the same mistakes. That's where the problem comes.
Yes, sir.
But you know, if you're really willing, and again, that determination, and you know, everyone's gonna make mistakes along the way, but just learn from their mistakes.
Yeah, man. Yo, Kelvin, man, this has been informational. Like, I really enjoyed this. You know, I love talking to you. You know, I really wanted to dive into firepower, AMP, you know, all that security side of what you do, and you know, but hopefully we can do this again.
You know, yeah, definitely. I mean, if the people want it, I mean,
yeah, the people want it. This has been, man, this has been fun. I appreciate you taking time to do this. And like I said, I'm going to post a link to your blog and your YouTube channel in the description. And if there's ever anything that I can do to help you, man, let me know. Like,
yeah, appreciate it,
bro. You're an inspiration to not only me, but to everybody.
Yeah, you too, man. I mean, like I say, you're trying to do the same thing, you know, I'm doing, and you know, I appreciate, you know, this conversation that we're actually having now, because, you know, the more people that we can inspire and educate, you know, it makes the world a better place, you know. So
facts.
Keep doing, man. And yeah, I enjoyed the chat today. I really enjoyed it. So yeah.
Yo, since you're from the UK, I meant to ask you this at the beginning. We about to wrap this up, but there's a YouTube channel. It's one of my favorite YouTube channels, The Chicken Connoisseur. Do you watch it?
Oh, yeah, the guy goes to a chicken shop and he gets. I've not watched the channel, but I've seen a few videos of it. Yeah,
man. It's a guy in the UK. I don't even know how old this dude is. He never tells his age.
Quite old, I think.
But he looks young. He looks young.
He looks like 16.
But man, I love it, man. He goes to these chicken shops and he's like, "Yo, this is piff."
Yeah, he's just reviews. Yeah, I know. It's good, man. But yeah, I know about that guy. How did you find out about him?
Man, you know, I be scavenging YouTube, man. There's another guy I watch. He's in America. His name is Dame Drops. And I was watching he does like food reviews in his car or whatever. And I was watching that, and then somehow I got into the Chicken Connoisseur, and then man, I just fell in love ever since, man. It's dope.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Cool.
But cool, man. You enjoy your Christmas, your holiday with your family, man.
Yeah, you too. You too, man. I'm sure we'll do it again.
Yes, sir.
Bye, little man.
Bye. Bye.